Let's take a look at today's headlines from Houston. I'm Shernmin Chow. First, we are hearing from the crisis negotiator who helped end a tense standoff on I-45. The man saved a woman's life after she sat down in traffic on the North Freeway for hours holding a gun to her neck. Our Matt Doherty covered the original story and eventually spoke to the negotiator who got that woman to surrender.
I ran up to the front and got to work. I saw a person in need. I saw an individual in pain. I saw someone suffering, and I wanted to help.
It took only 7 minutes from when he got the call for Harris County Sheriff's Office Sergeant Aaron Brown to reach the scene of the standoff on I-45 near FM 1960.
I saw a woman in pain with sitting in a chair in the middle lane of traffic, distraught with a gun to her neck.
I was there on Thursday afternoon and saw that distraught woman sitting in the middle of the freeway.
She was having some really, really dark and dangerous delusions. And, based on my training experience, I'm going to listen. Everyone thinks that negotiating is about talking. It has very little to do to talking. It has everything to do with listening.
We watched as Sergeant Brown spent hours trying to get the woman to drop the gun from about 50 feet away as he was partially covered by a shield. Brown says he was able to make a connection with the woman and build a bond based on shared experiences and personal connections like family.
At one point, she was having a delusion that her adult children were deceased. We were able to bring her daughter up and show her, right, hey, your daughter is here.
The more they talked, he says, the closer he was getting to breaking through.
There was a huge change. I think it was about 3 hours in. She's a grandparent. She's a mother, right? This is a good person having a bad day. And I was talking about my grandmother. She was talking about, her family. And she gave me the biggest, most beautiful smile I've ever seen. And I told her, that's you. Now I'm talking to you.
Now, Sergeant Brown says there's a few things you can do should you ever find yourself on his side of a crisis situation. First, you want to stay calm. Secondly, you want to ask more questions and do more listening than talking. Third, you're going to want to slowly try to make progress, encouraging the person towards safety.
I think having authenticity and having some life experience, I think we're all damaged. Stuff has happened to all of us. And being able to pull into that when you're talking to people on their darkest day, I think is important.
Ultimately, it worked. The woman dropped the gun, rose to her feet, then shook Sergeant Brown's hand and hugged another officer.
She has a mom. She has kids. Her kids are wonderful. She's a grandmother, a mother, and a dog owner.
Something to live for.
Something to live for. It's there. I think we just lose sight of it sometimes.
In downtown Houston, I'm Matt Doherty, KHOU 11 News.
A woman is dead, 2 others seriously hurt after a devastating crash along West Park Drive. It happened just before 3 a.m. Tuesday morning at the intersection of West Park and Tanglewild. Houston police say 2 cars were speeding when one slammed into a tow truck going through the intersection. The driver of the car is in critical condition. A front seat passenger survived, but a woman in the back seat did not. Police believe that the driver had just left a bar and believe intoxication and street racing may have played a role.
There was another vehicle that was traveling at a high rate of speed with that vehicle for a long period of time, witnesses stated, and we believe that racing might be a factor in this also.
The tow truck was totaled, but the driver and his co-worker walked away. One of them tells KHOU 11 that the impact pushed their truck through the intersection. He believes the car was going at least 120 miles an hour. A second suspect in the killing of a Marine veteran at the Galleria Mall shooting is in custody. He faced a judge for the first time this week. Jalissa Garza has the latest from the criminal courthouse in downtown Houston.
22-year-old Justin Guzman appeared before a judge just before 5 a.m. This comes after he surrendered on Monday afternoon, hours after a warrant was issued for his arrest. Now Guzman is facing a murder charge and being held on a $750,000 bond. This is video of Guzman during his probable cause court hearing early Tuesday morning. Guzman is accused of killing 30-year-old Marine veteran Anthony Sanders, who was picking up his fiancée at the Galleria on June 3rd. Court records allege a group of men made comments to her, and when Sanders confronted them, things escalated. In probable cause court, a judge said Sanders got out of his car, and so did the 2 suspects in this case. That's when shots were fired. Newly obtained court documents say Guzman fired 10 rounds, while Sanders had no weapon, only his phone.
A gun where the defendant had been sitting contained 10 unfired rounds out of a 17+1 capacity.
Court documents say Sanders died of multiple gunshot wounds, and police found 14 shell casings in the suspect's vehicle. Sanders' family says he died protecting his family and say he was always someone who helped others.
When he was a teenager, he was 16 years old. He was a lifeguard, and a 10-year-old boy had begun to drown, and Anthony rescued him and performed CPR and saved his life.
Sanders' family says they want justice and that everyone involved should be held accountable. Meanwhile, another suspect, Marco Sinan, remains in custody on a $1 million bond. The next step for Guzman will be an appearance in criminal court tomorrow morning. We'll continue to follow this case and bring you the latest. Reporting in downtown Houston, Julissa Garza, KHOU 11 News.
4th of July is coming this Friday, and if you plan on making the trip to H-Town, maybe having a celebration at Lake Houston, the Houston Fire Department wants you to take extra precautions. This after a young woman died on the lake last month. KHOU 11 Stephen Goen has more on those precautions.
The water's unforgiving, and that's something that we also need to remember.
Just before the July 4th holiday, a Lake Houston safety warning. In a news conference today, Houston Fire Chief Thomas Munoz said while his department is ready to respond to incidents on the water,
we must also work together to prevent these type of water-related incidents from happening.
That message comes just 2 weeks after a tragic incident on the lake. In June, the body of 20-year-old Ashley Gill was recovered after she fell off of a wave runner near Dewson Park.
Since May, we've had 18 near drownings or water rescue calls. Unfortunately, 3 of these 18 resulted in fatalities.
Now, if you are planning a trip to Lake Houston, officials say it's important to know which boat ramp you're using and which of the 6 color zones you're going to be in. That's the information first responders will need to find you quickly in case of an emergency.
Let us know what zone you're in, and that way we can find you.
Then, when you're on the water, HPD Captain Bo Moreno said, make sure you stick to state law. That means life jackets and other safety gear, proper certifications, and knowing your legal limits where alcohol's concerned. What's the biggest danger someone could face on the water?
It's probably some of the biggest dangers that come out is people involved alcohols in boating, and then also having people that are inexperienced boaters.
While boating, Moreno says you should also watch out for important signage and warning buoys like these ones that say no wake close to the shore. You'll also find these ones that say restricted area near the Houston Dam.
Once you get to the dam, that is a 42-foot drop off into the San Jacinto River.
And one last reminder, Moreno says to set a check-in time with your group or family before heading out. It's a simple way to make sure someone knows if you're running late or if something's gone wrong.
They know if by a certain time that you are not home, that somebody needs to come looking for you.
In Houston, Stephen Goen, KHOU 11 News.
Earlier this week, a homeowner in Northeast Harris County had a heart-stopping morning. Take a look. He stepped outside to find a giant alligator, and we mean giant, lounging in the front yard. Deputies quickly responded and called in wildlife experts to safely wrangle the gator. The animal was later relocated to a secure area where it will not pose a threat. Looks like something out of Jurassic Park. That is a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Sherman Chow.